Today what we're going to do is we're going to dive into our next season of the show. We're not a news show, so why do we need to sit at a news desk? So we're going to be out in different cities all across the country exploring what makes this such a great place. We're going to be exploring the lifestyles, having power interviews, and just bringing a lot of great content so that people can really get something of substance from our media. And to me, that's really what the American Dream is all about. The American Dream is coming at you with a whole new season and a whole new look. Let's get the show started right now.
We do it in the spirit of going against the grain of the negative media, giving inspiring information, and having people walk away from our show with something of value.
You're seeing a disruption in both the real estate and the mortgage space.
A lot of people are just not willing to put in the work.
What video does is that it demands an emotional response.
You know what I love about this show? It's totally unscripted. So you've heard my passion around the message of the American Dream, but how do you bring it to life? Well, what I did is I found the best producer with a background in real estate and lifestyle, Seth O'Byrne, to bring us the American Dream in a whole new way. Tell us what you're bringing now.
I'm hopefully bringing passion. You know, this is something we're really excited about. In America, the American Dream is not designed by your position in life, your wealth, where you're at currently. American Dream is something that someone can have when they're 8 or 80. It's starting at one point and deciding that you want something better for yourself. And so as much as the American Dream has combated negative media, we're gonna switch gears and now we're gonna talk about positive, inspiring stories. Stories that have compassion and love in them, and stories that have something that I think we can all relate to. And that's the hope for the show, and I'm really excited about it.
Yeah, we're not a news show, so why sit at a news desk? So we're out here today at a multi-million-dollar pad with a winery on the West Coast. The show is spanning all across the country. Today, you're gonna see a power interview from Grant Cardone. Did this in studio early this week. This guy illustrates the American Dream. 10,000 people at his event in Vegas. This guy's absolutely crushing it. We're also gonna showcase the lifestyle of a winery and a multi-million-dollar pad. And then we're gonna get into some local market elements where we're showing things that are happening in your own backyard. Well, let's get it started. We're gonna go check out that interview with Grant Cardone in studio. Let's go check it out. All right, for today's Power Player interview, there's nobody that better illustrates the American Dream than this guy, Grant Cardone, coming to us out of Miami. Good to see you, Grant. How are you, man?
Always good to see you, my friend. You bring me so much energy in my life. You remind me that a dream has to keep going and growing.
Yeah, well, we're growing to Miami soon, so what makes this show unique is we go city to city, and each city has its own little ecosystem, so we're coming to your town here soon enough, so we're going to be out in the field doing some stuff with you. Excited to launch there.
I can't wait to see you.
So let's talk about that thing called the American Dream. You've had quite the journey yourself. Right to your left there, you can see your new book, Investing in Real Estate. Tell us real quick about your journey for those who are tuning in for the first time.
Yeah, look, I mean, I grew up like probably 99% of the people watching this is like lower middle class family. My dad worked hard. My mom took care of the family, 5 kids. And my dad died at a very young age for me. He was 52, I was 10 years old. And that left a big vacuum in the family. But my dad left me with a lot of things, you know, like the individual can die, but the things he leaves behind stays with the people around him. And he taught me work ethic. He taught me that I could have anything I wanted. He loved real estate. He was actually a stockbroker, but on the weekends he would shop real estate, which was fascinating to me because I'm like, why aren't you shopping? I mean, if you love stocks and that's what you do, why aren't you shopping stocks? But he shopped real estate because I think that that's organically something everybody understands is a good thing. And so for the past 30 years, starting in San Diego, by the way, I started buying real estate. And it's, of my 7 businesses, that's the one that will take care of me and my great-great-great-grandchildren. My great-great-great-grandchildren that have not been born yet, Craig, will probably be wealthy.
Yeah, well, the stockbrokers out there, we got to remind them that there's no stock that you can live in, and there's no stock that you can use other people's money to buy it with like you can with real estate. So it's a great opportunity. What do you think about the real estate market now? I mean, we're spread across the country. In every city, we align the power players of real estate. We've trademarked that term, the best in every city. What do you think about the real estate market right now?
Well, let me just say this. Bank of America, okay, or Wells Fargo, right? They will lend you money to buy real estate, and they won't lend you money to buy their own stock.
Right.
So that should say it all right there. Go to Bank of America and say, I'd like to buy $1 million worth of Bank of America stock, and I want you to lend me money. And they'll be like, sir, please get up out of the chair, okay?
Yeah.
But we'll lend you money on real estate. So look, if you're trying to make money in real estate over the next 3 weeks or 3 months, or, you know, I think you're looking at it wrong. But the way we invest in it is for long periods of time. We buy multifamily income producing properties. I mean, what we do over here is not, we don't do single family homes because we want income. I want passive flows of income that Warren Buffett talked about. If you don't earn passive flows of income, you'll die trying to earn one income. So we're buying rental properties in markets like Orlando, Tampa, Miami, Houston, Austin, San Antonio, anything in the southwest or southeast. San Diego, I think, is a great market. I just can't come there because you guys got too many other issues.
Real quick, Grant, so tell me about the book that you wrote, How to Create Wealth Investing in Real Estate.
Yeah, this is my 8th book, Craig. This is by the way, this is a self-published book, okay? I have published books, but this is a self-published book with the biggest release by almost 8 times of any book that I've ever brought to market. So we shipped, I think, 38,000 copies in 21 days.
Wow.
And it's not in a bookstore. Those are massive numbers for a book this doesn't have a release. So it's about how people can get involved in the apartment game.
Well, you've done a lot with the entrepreneurial spirit. You're doing events. You do a lot on social media. If anyone visits you online, you have a lot of products you develop. But I know that your wheelhouse is this real estate game, which is a big message of the show. I hope that our audience will reach out to you, get your book, and definitely follow you on Instagram. You are one of my favorite guys to follow just because the energy you bring, you got your own show on there.
Anything could happen on Instagram, that's for sure.
Yeah, your wife throws you head kicks, or actually it was rib kicks, was it?
Yeah. She wants me to get in shape, so she thinks beating me up is the way to do that.
Love it, man. Well, we appreciate your story. Thanks for coming on The American Dream. I hope our audience reaches out for that book, and we'll talk to you again soon, Grant. Thank you.
Appreciate you, Craig.
All right. More of the show coming up next.
So you just saw Grant Cardone, who is the ultimate illustration of the American dream. What makes this show unique is it's a national television show, but we highlight local marketplaces and the experts in those markets to show you what's going on in your own backyard. You've had your fingerprints all over how these things are going to look.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, that's the goal, you know, and local real estate markets are really important because that's why you need a broker. You know, these areas are so unique, both in appreciation, why you buy, the lifestyles that we like to accentuate on the show. And so we'd like to show you one of our favorite realtors right now.
Yeah, it's a national show. What do we know about all the different cities the show's airing in? So let's go check out what's happening in your city.
Welcome back to American Dream. I have a great guest with me today. We will be talking to Gary Leroy Newton. He is a broker at Properties by G. Leroy. Welcome back.
Thank you, Sophia. It's good seeing you again.
Yeah, nice seeing you too. It's always a pleasure. So let's just get right into it.
Okay.
So I know St. Louis is a very competitive market. So how would you beat out some of the home buying competition?
You know, that's a good question. What we look for in the market is to make sure that people have their things in place. So I'm going to share with you probably about 4 different things that I kind of coach my buyers and my agents to when working with potential buyers. So the first thing that you want to do is make sure that your financing is rock solid. Make sure that you at least have a pre-approval, a pre-qualification letter, or even a proof of funds. But make sure that that seller knows that you're not playing when it comes to being able to pay for this transaction. The second thing is, you know, consider, and many of our viewers probably have heard this before, but consider writing a letter. You know, we like to call this in my office a love letter. You know, consider writing that letter. It softens the offer. And to be honest with you, I had a deal working with a seller, and she made a decision based upon what she read in that letter. And that was kind of moving, knowing that those letters work. So that's number 2. Number 3 would be consider looking at properties that might be as is. Instead of homes that are move-in ready, everyone is looking at that same house where it's move-in ready. Consider looking at something that might be as is. Maybe it needs a little bit of work. And then the fourth thing is the most important thing is work with someone that is experienced, like an experienced agent or experienced broker, because that's going to help aid your home search. So those things are very strong tips when in a competitive market.
Awesome. Well, thank you. Those are great tips. But what should a homeowner do as soon as they move into a new house?
You know, after winning a property, after you've gone through the process, now you found it, you've basically got that offer, you and the seller have agreed upon a price, and now you have closed on that home. The next thing that you want to do was, upon moving in, is the first thing is to secure it. Safety is important, so once you move into a house, consider changing all of your locks. You know, I say that, but you'd be surprised how many people don't change their locks when they move into a home. So when you get ready to consider painting, go and change those locks. That's number one. Tip number two, maintenance planning. Get ready to plan out your maintenance. So that includes cleaning the gutters, maybe servicing those appliances. How about doing some of the stuff that was on that home inspection report you received during the process? Consider completing any maintenance issues and planning accordingly for the rest of the year. And the last thing is prepare for emergencies, especially if you have kids. So if you move into a new home and you don't know how to get out quickly, this could be an opportunity for you to do. That will be the first thing that you'd want to do, is to plan for an emergency, where to go, who to call, and how to get there.
All right, great. So really quick, I just wanted to ask you about as-is properties. Sometimes that sounds a little scary when you see that. So tell me about those.
You bet. So, you know, earlier I mentioned an as-is property. What we're finding now is that there's so many people that are buying homes that are move-in ready. Real estate agents and brokers, we've staged the properties because we know what buyers like. And when they get ready to make a decision online, because remember that 98% of the people are buying these houses online. They're looking at them, they see the photos, and boom, off and away they go. And when they get there, they fall in love. Well, what I'm coaching a lot of my agents to do is to consider taking that buyer and taking them to a property that may need a little bit of work. Maybe it could be an estate where someone has actually passed away. It could be a property that maybe just has a little bit of work. Working with an experienced agent is going to identify two things: your budget, and then what items you can afford to have done on that property and have it fixed, so that way you can live in that home that is move-in ready and you bought it as is at a discount.
Awesome. All right, so we got to finish up here, but I just wanted a second to talk about your listing.
Sure. You know, speaking of as-is properties, there is one that's at 5129 Aujo. It's located in St. Louis, in the suburbs of St. Louis, and it is a wonderful property. It has about a little bit over a half an acre of land to it. It's got curb appeal galore. The actual landscaping is done by a renowned landscaping architect. He does a lot of work that is here in the city of St. Louis. And there are people that travel from all over the world to have him work on their homes. And guess what? This house has that. And it can be bought, and it is an as-is property. It does need a little bit of tender love and care, but for the right buyer, they would be able to live in this property, and it would be outstanding experience for them to be there.
Awesome. Thank you so much. We ran out of time, but I love talking to you, so we'll see you again soon. All right?
You bet. I'll
Take care.
see you next time, Sophia.
All right,
Thanks.
Thank you. More of American Dream coming up after this.
What we just saw was an incredible segment from a local agent professional. But what's cool right now is we're about to kick to a really cool segment in this property.
Yeah, I've hosted so many shoots so far for Lifestyles in the American Dream, but I've never seen a home like this before.
Isn't this the most amazing property you've ever seen?
I loved it, and driving up like the whole entire private driveway and up here is so exclusive.
It's, you know, it's set perfectly in the hillside, the winding roads, and it's like, I think about properties like this back when I first started in real estate, when it was so hard to get the big listings and the big properties with this much acreage. And it's really been a dream for me to not only list this property, but to get so much great feedback from people just viewing the property, because it's amazing. I mean, it's the grounds of this place are like nothing I've ever seen before.
That's what I saw the home. I'm obsessed with the home. I mean, it's this beautiful custom built.
Custom built in 2008, actually.
Oh, wow, that's really new.
Isn't it? It's so new.
Yeah.
The sellers actually built it from the ground up. I mean, so much like blood, sweat, and tears went into this home. It looks like it could be placed right in Tuscany, doesn't it?
Yeah, well, I mean, it's
like
perfect
Spanish
with the wine we had earlier.
Yeah.
Are we supposed to tell people we're having wine this early in the day?
No. 5 o'clock somewhere all the time, so.
Well, I love it, and I love the outside grounds of this area. Like, I don't even know if I would want to be inside.
When you live at the property, your lifestyle here is exterior. It's all exterior. The inside is an added bonus, but I mean, you've got so many different types of fruit trees on this property. You've got a winery that's just down the hill here and surrounds the property, a creek, a pond. I mean, the endless nights of sunsets that you can watch on this property is ridiculous.
Oh, it's amazing. I can imagine that this is like the perfect property for entertaining guests, family get-togethers, things like, I mean, that's like what I imagine when I picture myself living here.
It's kind of the dream. I mean, I was fortunate enough to be able to spend a lot of time with the sellers on this property and really talk to them about what makes this property so special, aside from the custom build. I mean, the wildlife that they sit and watch. The wife, you know, tends to her garden out back. I mean, with tons and tons of acreage on this property, your options to do multiple things on the actual land is endless. I mean, you really could do anything.
Yeah.
You know, there's an active beehive down there where the bees come and go from the koi pond out front. You've got the pool out back that just the vanishing edge with virtually nothing in the distance.
No. And it's a really nice mixture between like the backyard's totally done. It's, you know, the backyard, the kitchen outside, the vanishing edge pool. So it seems like it could be track style home and things like that, but it's not. Because then it's like you have a whole entire another realm of this. Like this is an onion of a house. It has multiple layers.
You just get peel back the layers, but you're 100% right. It's like an onion, really.
Yes.
You know, and you can always tell with houses like this, which is why this particular home is so near and dear to my heart, because you can tell the pride and ownership that the sellers have really put into this house with just maintaining and the landscaping that they've put in, and every little nook and cranny of this home and this property was thought of. I mean, they have dogs and they've fenced the entire 9 acres of property in, you know, and it's just the little things that when a buyer comes into this home, they want to know that everything's secure and that their pets are going to be okay.
Yes.
And if they have grandchildren coming to run around, that it's going to all be okay. So everything was really, really thought of. I mean, it's definitely a special property.
Yes. You know? Well, and I'm just imagining, you know, the caliber of buyer that's going to buy this property is going to love that they can come and shut themselves off from the hustle and the bustle and the busy life that we all live each day, and have their own private oasis, their own private estate here.
Absolutely.
In the hills of California. It's wonderful.
It's the most peaceful property you could ever imagine. It's like you're coming home and you're coming up to your own resort with nobody around, with the sunset, and you put the music on and you just go pick fruit off your fruit trees to make a margarita by the pool. I mean, it's everything at your fingertips, literally, but you're in the middle of nowhere, which is amazing.
In the middle of nowhere, so convenient because you are still close to town. Still get there somewhat fast, but
right.
Shut everything off. Enjoy your time with your family.
Yes, and I will say, if you are a drinker, the winery and the vineyard on this property produces over 2,000 pounds of wine, which is about 50 cases per year.
Oh my gosh.
Of award-winning wine. And
do you have any of that award-winning wine here?
We do. I think we should go open a bottle and go back by the pool and have a little sip of wine.
I'm saying, it's warm out here. Let's go get some wine. Let's go enjoy the pool.
There's so many people that have dreamed of owning a California winery,
and
or
with Molly and Mia.
in a winery with 3 vineyards and bottles of wine.
Yes, that is kind of your American dream.
It's a very specific American dream, but yeah, it was cool to actually see it, and I think it was great that we got to take people inside.
All right, so coming up next, what you don't know is I've been traveling all across the country, meeting the best realtors in every city to make sure when we talk about your backyard, you're hearing from somebody who's actually in the trenches, in the top 1% nationally, but experiencing what you have going on in your city. Next realtor piece.
Let's do it.
All right, let's go.
Welcome back to the American Dream. My next guest is Brian Sohn. Hi, Brian. How are you?
Hi. Good. It's always good to be on.
Yes, thank you for coming on. So you are a realtor with the Sohn team at Remax, correct?
Yeah.
Awesome.
Yeah.
Great. Very nice. So there's a couple questions that I'm sure we get all the time, right? It's where's the best place to look for a home, right? So what would you suggest?
Yeah, so buyers are out there and they look at all the .coms. They look at Zillow and Trulia and Homes.com and Realtor.com, but really they're all just copies of the main information, which is the MLS, which realtors have. And when you work with your realtor, we send you a link to that. It's called a portal. And so you get direct access to the real information, not snapshots in time that are out of date typically.
Okay. Yeah, that makes sense. I know it's sometimes confusing to buyers when there's so many options, but thank you for clarifying that. That's great. And obviously, home buying is very emotional. So what can you do to minimize some of the drama?
Yeah, so to minimize that drama, one, you want to make sure you're using good information. You want the information to be accurate. Sometimes, the websites could show 3 different prices on a house, and which one is it? And they're not up to date, they're under contract, and they still show they're active. So you want to work with somebody who can keep you on track, get the good information in front of you. And basically, buying a house is very emotional. It's hopes and dreams and past and future and finance. And you wrap it all up into a ball, and you want those tangles not to be pulled on that. And that's what your realtor's job. It's your job to get it to closing with as little drama as possible.
Yes. Very, very true. But you have a great listing that you wanted us to hear about. Can you tell us about that?
Yeah, so it's 3196 Highway UU in Union, Missouri. It's a 2,500 square foot 3-bed home. It's on 6.4 acres. Beautiful country setting. It's private, has a big outbuilding. Outbuilding has a shop with 3-phase power in it. And it's everything that somebody wants when they want to get away and they want to have a place to tinker.
Awesome, that sounds lovely. And what was the price on that one?
That's $459,000.
Oh, sounds good. Well, thank you so much for coming on the show. It was nice talking to you. All right, so you take care, and we'll see you soon.
All right, you have a good day.
You too. More of the American Dream coming up after this.
Welcome back to the show. Well, now we're talking about the things that you can do on the interior of your home so that you get the biggest bang for your buck when you go to sell it with my next guest, Susan Brewer. She is with Susan Brewer, Service First Real Estate. Susan, great to have you on the program as always.
Thank you.
So, Susan, what would you consider the best options that would give you the biggest return on your investment?
We have this question asked daily of us as realtors. And really the biggest thing someone can do is a fresh coat of paint. Picking a great neutral tone, an up-to-date tone, and really just getting in there and refreshing the house. The buyer appreciates it, but it also shows beautifully online in the photographs as well.
So is it best to paint your home one color throughout? Should we do some different complementary colors in various rooms?
The best way to really give a real cohesive environment is to paint your house all the same color. Now, the exceptions can be children's rooms, but we want to stay as neutral in those as possible to appeal to both either a boy or a girl who might be looking at that home.
Sure. What about going too trendy? What do you tell your clients that are thinking, oh, I want everything stark white, there's this kind of modern trend happening right now, or I love the darker browns and the kind of farmhouse look, Joanna Gaines has impacted everybody's life. What do you tell your clients when they're wanting to do those types of things?
Well, we really want to express to clients that you want to accessorize with colors of pillows, even window treatments, but really keep the walls as neutral as possible. Bright white is acceptable today. A real light gray color is very acceptable. I always tell people a great trick is to ask the Sherwin-Williams or the paint company that's closest around you, what are all the designers picking in a neutral color? And they'll usually know the cottage whites or the colonnade grays. Those colors are what the designers really want to use when they're looking at enhancing a home as well.
That's a great tip. I love that. I haven't heard that. Go to the paint store and ask them. They'll know.
They know. They know what sells.
That's a good tip. Well, we've talked about paint. Now, what about flooring? Should people redo their flooring? Does flooring help sell a home?
If flooring is in need of being replaced, it should be replaced. A lot of people will say, well, it's easier for me just to give a flooring allowance. The impression is not there by giving an allowance. Really, we want to enhance the flooring. Wood is always the choice, whether it is an engineered wood, even some of the laminates, and even some of the vinyls and porcelain tile that's wood are good choices. But tending to go to a wood source versus a carpet or a tile really does impress that buyer coming in, and it's relatively inexpensive to lay today.
Sure, sure. And if you have to, you don't have to do it in the bedrooms. Just do it in the main living areas of the home, and you'll really get that bang for your buck that we're talking about.
Absolutely. And you always want to concentrate on the great room, the kitchen, and the master bedroom and bath. Those are the rooms that sell a house. Those are the rooms that really need to be as crisp and perfect to get top dollar for your home.
Well, one home that needs no work, in my opinion, is this listing that you have. Tell me a little bit more about this property.
This house is a beautiful two-story home in Whitmore Country Club. It is at 25 Rasala Court. It has 4 bedrooms on the upper level. The master suite is enormous. Side windows so you can take a look at the beautiful lake view and golf course view. Finished lower level. It's in a quiet cul-de-sac. Kitchen was remodeled just a few years ago with furniture finished cabinetry, so absolutely gorgeous. The house is listed for $475,000, which is a steal in this country club community.
Fantastic. When can I move in, Susan?
Absolutely. Come on aboard. It's a great house.
I will. Susan, thank you so much. A pleasure as always.
Thank you very much for having us.
And we encourage our viewers to reach out to us on social media, join in on the conversation. Go to our website, AmericanDreamNetwork.tv, and we'll be right back with more of the show.
So that's close the show. What should we do, man? Should we be like casual or should we be pumped up?
I think we should be both casual and pumped up.
All right. Well, we just finished the big show. What you learned today is the American Dream is a mindset, not a circumstance. And as far as our show, it's raw, it's real, it's authentic. We're not owned by a network. We're commercial free. We're unscripted. We just brought the best producer in the space to the game.
I think we did great, man. I mean, you know, the American Dream is incredible, and I think it was Thomas Jefferson, or he was kind of...
The preceding program was sponsored by Ignite Now Media with promotional consideration by its affiliated partners.